Hey guys, welcome back to Jess Reads Romance. I'm Jessin, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I haven't talked about for the past like 2.5 months. So when I looked at, I didn't get a lot of reading done during the semester, but I did read a handful of new books, and I decided that I wanted to catch you guys up on my thoughts on all the new books that I read. I'm not going to go into detail on any of the rereads that I did because I did do a ton of rereading. Rereading makes so much more sense during the semester. It's less distracting. We won't go into that, but I do have some new books that I want to talk about. Now, I was pretty much going to challenge myself because I have around like over 30 books that I'm going to be talking about, and I was like, I don't want to make a huge long video. I tend to be long-winded when I talk about books, so I was like, hey, let's see if you can like say what you need to say about these books in 30 seconds or less and then move on. And I love that idea, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about each book for 30 seconds or less. I'm going to set myself a timer so that I don't go over time. And just in case you guys were like, no, I wanted you to talk more about this one book or whatever that I like rated 6 stars, or I like really hated this book and you're like, oh, I want to know why. I want to know more details why. Don't worry, because some of these books are going to appear on my like end of the year videos, my favorite books of the year, my least favorite books, most disappointing books. So some of them will appear on other videos. But for now, it's just my general thoughts on these books that I was able to get my hands on during the semester. Okay, let's rewind all the way to September because the last video that I did was like right at the end of August. And so I'm going to start with the first book that I read in September. Okay, starting the timer for 30 seconds. I read Mercy by Sarah Kate. And this was part of the Salacious Players Club series. Wow, this is so much harder. Older woman, younger guy, and also the son of the best friend of the heroine. I thought it was really fun. But it didn't kind of blow me away. I also don't really love like a more dominant woman in a relationship and a submissive male. And he was also a bit of a brat, so I didn't like it as much. I gave this one 3.5 stars. Wow, I did it. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Next, I read Gothicana by Runics. This was the first book that I ever read by this author, and I gotta say I was disappointed. We did stick this on the podcast because it was like an October episode, and I thought it would be perfect, but it turns out I really kind of hated it. I didn't think the romance felt real at all. I felt like it was so lust driven, and I was so freaking bored. I love the gothic feel of it, but the romance totally sucked for me. Like, I just could not get into it. I couldn't get into the hero at all. I didn't think he was sexy, and the heroine was a little TSTL for a lot of the books, especially with all the like the murders going on. Nikki the Driver. This book I was really looking forward to because I love Run Posey Run, mafia, danger, a little bit of psychopath vibes, and I wasn't sure about Nikki. So Nikki is actually kind of a stalker, and he's been stalking this girl. He gets an opportunity to marry her. She also has some eating disorders, and really and truly, I never understood why Nikki was just so obsessed with this girl. Like, I just didn't understand the explanation. I didn't feel like the level of like obsessiveness that I love so much in Run Posey Run. It was pretty much a big disappointment for me, and I never felt like she was in love with him, ever. 3 stars. Oof, the next one, The Sight of You by Ashley Mack. I really did not like this book, and I have to say I have been much more comfortable with giving lower ratings to books that I really didn't enjoy because ratings are about my enjoyment anyway. The Sight of You, it was also an arranged marriage situation, and I love the heroine in the beginning. She sounds really strong. She's the head of her father's security team, but once she marries the hero, who's like the head of like kind of like this mafia / legit business, she becomes this like housewife that like doesn't do anything, and it was all about sex and no feelings, and I literally didn't care. 1 star. Between Despair and Hope by Jess Wisecup. This is the second book of the series, and now we have multiple points of views, which it was necessary, and I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about these points of views because I really liked Emma and Rain's POVs, but I feel like we really needed it because to me, Rain and Emma were a little bit boring. I wanted more in the daughter's point of view, and I actually liked a lot of the other side characters, believe it or not, points of view. I just feel like this book was very slow. I didn't think it was very well paced, and I was pretty bored of the story, and I wish that more happened. 3 stars. So those are all the books that I read in September. Now I'm going to move on to October, and starting it off with a good one, Flawless by L.C. Silver. This is the first book that I read by L.C. Silver, and oh my god, talk about setting the bar high because I really loved it. Bull Rider Hero. And the heroine is the daughter of his agent, I believe, and she is trying to remedy his image because he made some comments. So he has, you know, sponsors. One of them's for milk, and he said like he hates milk. And so people called him. Now she's trying to rehab the image so that none of his sponsors drop him. Anyway, forced proximity situation. So hot, so lovely. Love, love, love his family. 5 stars. Then of course I immediately jumped into Heartless because oh my god, how could I not? This book is one of my favorites of the year. It was 6 stars, like hands down one of my favorite small town romances, one of my favorite single dad romances. It was perfect. Forced proximity situation where we have a live-in nanny named Willa, and she is like the total opposite of him. Opposites attract. He's so grumpy, he's so growly, and the kid was super cute. And I love whenever kids are done well and they're important to the story. If you're gonna include a kid, make it important. Very important. I love their banter. It was fantastic. Ooh, a painful one. Even if it hurts by Sam Mariano. I just feel like Sam Mariano is trying to recreate the magic with Untouchable, and she also tries to like one up her heroes, make them like even more like, I don't know, psychopathic. That's not even a word. We're rolling with it. Did not like Dare at all. I thought he was very lackluster, and the heroine disappointed me a lot. I always like loved Zoe and Carter together because Zoe could handle Carter's, but like she couldn't. The heroine, I think her name is Audrey, could not handle Dare shit. Super TSTL and 2.5 stars. The next one is actually a duet. So the first one is called Clayton. The second one is Dallas by Rochelle Mills. And this is a rejected mate duet, and Clayton rejects his mate Raya in favor of his high school sweetheart, and she's like, she leaves, she trains to become a midwife, and she comes back to her pack, and then she meets like the doctor. She's gonna be working with the doctor in the town, and they start falling in love. They start forming a romance, and of course Clayton, this is like his mate, so like he doesn't like this. So anyway, it was interesting. 4 stars for both of them. I kind of like the first one more than the second one though, but the second one had a lot of things that I liked in the beginning, but it kind of disappointed me in the end. So anyway, both 4 stars. Okay, next is Restore Me by Jl Seegers. This is the first book I read by the author, and this is a I'm in love with my best friend's wife, and she's a widow. So she has been widowed for 4 years now, and Dominic has always had a thing for Sloane, and she's finally wanting to start dating. She misses like physical contact with people, and he kind of like offers himself up, and she always thought that he hated her, but it was a way for him to kind of keep her at a distance. Good romance, 4.5 stars. Next was Bitten by Kelly Armstrong. This feels like a shifter romance that was written like in the early 2000s. I think it's actually a TV show on Sci-Fi Channel, and it was kind of a little bit boring. I think that the romance factor was definitely lackluster, and I wish I understood the world a little bit more for the werewolves, but I was intrigued. I definitely wanted to know because there's a mystery about like this killer who's trying to like frame our heroine's like pack. She's kind of distanced herself from them because of how she became a werewolf. She's the only female werewolf also. Thought it would have meant more, but it really didn't. It was just okay. 3.5 stars. Next is Tarine by Amara Ray. I really like this like witch coven romance, and I was really looking forward to Cassandra. We knew that she had some sort of trauma in her past to do with how she was raised with her father, and we got to see exactly what was happening. And her pairing was with a demon who basically she makes a deal with him, and I really like that she kind of like took control of her destiny. But I also was wanting more from this couple. Like I felt like there could have been way more for this book. It felt a little short, and their romance wrapped up like too quickly. I don't know. I thought it needed room to breathe. 3.5 stars. Okay, this next one, Haunting Adeline. I tried to read this book and I DNF'd it very quickly. In the first 2 chapters or 3 chapters, whatever, the heroine like completely turned me off from her. I was so aggravated with her. I was like, this is the type of heroine that I don't like to read about. She just felt like kind of a little bit dumb. Her best friend set her up with her ex-boyfriend, the one that she didn't want to be with anymore, because she's like, you need to get laid. And so the ex-boyfriend shows up and she's like, I really hate him and he's terrible in bed, but still lets him fuck her against the wall while he's being an asshole. And I was just like, have some respect. So I had to DNF it. I was just like, I can't do it. Next is The Brawl by Willow Nash. I really like this series. This is also Devaney Perry. And I love this small town in Calamity, Montana. And our hero moves here. He's a big hotshot lawyer. He doesn't need any more money, but he wants to move to a small town. The second he sees Lark walk down his window, I really like it. He's like wants the town to like him so badly, and then he starts falling for Lark, who's a single mom, and so of course she wants to keep him like at arm's length. There's also a side plot with one of Lark's students that actually Ronan the hero gets involved with, and I really like that. 4 stars. Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. I wanted to go back in the backlist. I actually really liked Off to the Races. It wasn't quite as good as Flawless and Heartless. I think that you can see the growth from Elsie Silver from when she was writing the series to the one that she's currently writing right now. I definitely love the heroes and heroines that she creates a lot more. They're just more dynamic and less cliche, but I still enjoyed this story. The heroine is a horse trainer and she has something to prove, and the hero is wealthy, and he like his tantrum in the beginning, I was like, oh God, am I gonna hate this hero? But I kind of warmed up to him anyway. 4 stars. Now, A Photo Finish, which is the second book in this series, is about Violet. Violet is related to our Flawless and Heartless heroes, and I can't say that I love the setup for this book. I didn't think, like, it's unique in a way. She and the hero, this is kind of like a second chance romance. They kind of had a pen pal relationship when he was in the military, and he basically saw a photo that she posted online because she was posting sexy photos, trying to get out of her comfort zone. And I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy this romance a lot at all. I didn't really love their history, and yeah, it was just lackluster for me. 3.5 stars. The Player and the Princess by Isla Madden Mills. I think that this is one of the most forgettable books that I've read by Isla Madden Mills. It's kind of like a one night stand that actually happens at like this strip club, and then they meet each other later on. She ends up by being pregnant, and literally I just did not care about this book at all. So that was 3 stars. It was fine. It was just so boring. Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Leese. I had an arc for this book and I was really excited about it. And I had lots of issues. I ended up by giving it 3 stars. It just really fell flat, especially the ending. The ending is what brought this whole book down for me. But also, I don't think that Chloe Leese is the greatest at setting up an enemies to lovers situation. Every book that I've read by her that has this trope, I feel like the enemies situation is so unbelievable and the heroine makes it up in her own head. Now, that being said, I really like the relationship in the middle of the book, like they were cute together. But still, like, no. I just didn't like this book. It could have been so much better. Next is Almost Priest by Lydia Michaels. I've read one book by Lydia Michaels, very different from this premise, but this involves the heroine who's kind of friends with this guy. He takes her home for the holidays because they go to school together, and he kind of wants there to be more, but she's like, no, we're just kind of friends, but also never says it. And then she falls for his brother who's trying to become a priest, who's always wanted to become a priest since he was 12. And then meeting her makes him rethink things. So this was okay. Secrets toward the end, too much for me. I rated this 3.5, but it's honestly more like a 3. Like, I don't know why I rated it 3.5. It's 3. The next book in the series is Beautiful Distraction. And this is the other brother, Finn. His heroine, she's new to town and she has this weight loss journey that she's going through for health reasons. And I really like this because it's more of a friends to lovers relationship. Like, I really like the idea of it, the execution of it, not so much. I didn't think that she was in a good place mentally by the end of the book either. Like, I just didn't, I felt like her place in the relationship really hinged on how good she felt about herself. And if she didn't get to the point where she was proud of herself by the end, I just don't think that there would have been a relationship. That's what I think about it. So 3 stars. Across a Moonlit Sea, Crystal said she loved this book, and oh my God, I'm so glad that I picked it up. It's one of my favorite pirate romances. So not only is the hero like a pirate and a privateer, very famous, like everyone talks about Dante or whatever, but the heroine is also a privateer as well. Her dad owns a ship. Her name's Bo, and she is like a heroine. Like, don't fuck with her. She also like does map making and stuff. It's very cool. I loved it. I love the banter. I love the like butting heads. It was just perfect, and it was 5 stars for me. Okay. Next is Burn for Me by Sarah Kate. This felt like it was written for TikTok taglines. Like, it just had an age gap. It was like full of tabooness. Heroine was older. She's also the college professor for the hero. He's a bully, and they have lots of like kinky sex, and he basically blackmails her. And it was so lackluster, so boring. And yeah, I was always expecting more. Like every chapter I was like, maybe she'll pull it off because I like Sarah Kate, but like she didn't in the end. So I give this book 3 stars. Next is Tempt by Melanie Harlow. I've already talked about this in my Thanksgiving vlog, but I really like this one. It's an age gap with the hero being actually the dad of our heroine's ex-boyfriend. And the ex-boyfriend and she are on very good terms. He's actually getting married, and he never knew his father. So it was like an interesting situation. But anyway, I loved it. They had a secret relationship, and he was so sweet and so cute, and I just loved it. I really liked it. It was 4 stars for me. me. Next is Appealed by Emma Chase. I love Sustained. It's one of like my favorite romances, even though I gave it 4 stars because there's just something at the end where I wish I could fix it and make it 5 stars, but oh well. But Appealed is about, it's a second chance romance with Brent and Kennedy, and there's something that went on in their past. It was kind of a misunderstanding, but I liked everything that was happening in the present, not so much the past. The past was a real big drawback for me, the reason why they weren't together. It was just dumb stuff, college stuff that's happened, but Kennedy was a badass and I really liked her. 4 stars. Next, I read Bewitching by Jl Burnett. This has lots of like Bewitched themes in it, and in the beginning, I really was so charmed by the heroine. She is a witch who her magic doesn't always work the way that she needs it to, and the hero is somebody who's like so rigid, so like he has a schedule, and she literally falls into his lap because of a mix-up of magic, and he decides he's going to marry her, and stuff starts going wrong around him and he's like, what is my life? It got a little too kitschy in the end, so I gave it 3.5 stars, but it was still a fun time. Next, I read Charming the Prince by Teresa Medeiros. I love Teresa Medeiros. I think that her books hold up pretty well for having been written like years and years ago. I make it sound ancient, but it's really not. But anyway, our heroine, it starts off kind of like Ever After, but Ever After if like the dad lived and also stopped paying attention to her and started paying attention to the stepchildren and the stepmother. So she kind of like dives into this arranged marriage situation. Bannon, the brave, the bold, he is looking for basically a mother for his children. He has lots of children and hilarity ensues. It focuses a little bit too much on the children though, but I had a good time. 4 stars. How the Grumps Ate Christmas by Claire Kingsley. This is set in the town with her Bailey brothers, and I thought this was a really cute romance. Second chance. Grumpy hero, obviously, from the title, and the heroine who her family is struggling. They have a Christmas tree farm and it's struggling financially, and he basically tries to come to buy it for his company, and then she has to prove the purpose of Christmas. I thought it was really cute, and his secretary's daughter was like the highlight, so 4 stars. Almost Perfect by Claire Kane. The heroine in this book, she's a pop star, and her mother recently died of an overdose like in the past year, and there's kind of been a scandal attached to that, so she wanted to rent this Airbnb for like a month and a half, and she goes up to the mountains, it's snowing, and the property is on the same property as the hero's house, and he has to take care of it, and it's basically his brother's property. But anyway, I thought it was really cute. It actually has the weirdest closed door sex scene. Like, I didn't even know sex was happening. Like, I literally thought that they just cuddled all night. That's how vaguely it was written. I was just like, wait, did something happen? It was weird. Anyway, it was cutesy, but also it was kind of boring, so 3 stars. Yours Until Dawn by Teresa Medeiros. I told you I really like Teresa Medeiros. This book was so great. It's a Beauty and the Beast type of trope. The hero has been injured in the Navy and he's blind. He's also the son of like a marquis, and he doesn't really want to adapt to his new diagnosis, and the heroine is going to be his new nurse, Samantha. She gives him hell. She's like, treats him like a child whenever he acts like a child, and basically she's the reason why he wants to try. There's other things. I will be talking about this book again, obviously. Something happens in the end though that it could have been a 6 star. This book could have been a 6 star. It ended up by being 4.5 stars though. And again, I'll talk about why in another video. Here Lies North by Ava Harrison. Another book that really just fell flat for me. It had almost like a little bit of thriller element to it in the beginning, but then it became a little bit predictable. The hero is very wealthy and he's basically building this utopia for rich people, and she's investigating it, but then she's also investigating this like serial killer that a copycat might have popped up, and I don't know, it was just very predictable and I didn't quite enjoy it. The romance was just kind of okay too. 3 stars. Oh, next is Resting Witch Face. I can actually grab this one. Okay, so Resting Witch Face. This is the 5th book in Juliet Cross, My Aunt's Stay a Spell series, and this is Ruben and Jules. This is a second chance romance. It's also a road trip romance, and I thought it was really cute. It's not my favorite of the series. I definitely have my favorites of this series, and Ruben and Jules was just such a highly anticipated couple, and I think everyone had lots of questions of like what broke them up in the first place, like what happened, and I like the way that Juliet handled this, because one of the things that we share is we don't really love second chance romances because of reasons why they break up. tends to be like very frustrating, like a minor misunderstanding. So I very much appreciated what Juliet did for this, but I gave this book 4 stars. Desire in His Blood by Zoe Draven. So this is a sci-fi romance, arranged marriage, enemies to lovers. The hero is like a combination of like demon slash vampire, also berserker, and he's really attracted to the heroine, his now wife, but also he has a vendetta against her family, and we find out why. But oh my god, it was so cool, and I really loved it. It was awesome, and I can't wait to dive back into this world in the second book. 4.5 stars. Ooh, next one, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I sent so many messages to Crystal while I was reading this. Small town romance, opposites attract, kind of wrong sides of the tracks, at least in the case of the heroine. She's a doctor with a family legacy of being like renowned surgeons, and then she gets stuck in this small town, meets this small town guy, and he's awesome, but she's like, he doesn't fit in with my world. Like literally, I would be embarrassed to introduce him to my friends, and I really liked their relationship. It was super cute. I was very frustrated with the heroine. It's something that I'm aware of about myself, and this book was so close to being a 3-star. Like I even told Crystal, I'm like, well, 3 stars. But then something happens in the end and it actually bumped it up to 4 stars. So I ended up by giving this book 4 stars. This was like, it surprised me. I was like, wow, I bumped this up from a 3 to 4. Who am I? But seriously, I think the ending was worth it. And it really saved the book for me. Until You Can't by Brittany Saheen. This book just popped up on Amazon. It was like suggested for you. The synopsis said that the hero, Ryan, who's a former Navy SEAL, has always had a thing for his brother's ex-girlfriend, and they're kind of thrown together in kind of a very convoluted situation. I thought it was going to be a fake dating marriage of convenience situation, but that didn't really happen until 50% of the book, and I felt it was a little too late to develop their relationship at that point. Very boring, poorly paced, 2.5 stars. A Kiss for Santa by Mia Monroe. I thought that this was really cute, an MM Santa romance. The only problem I really had with this book is that I felt like the romance, like the really falling in love happened too quickly and off page, sort of, because basically they met whenever the hero, Lucas, was 21, and Santa's real name is Magnus. It's the whole thing. There's magical world. I wish it was explained a little bit more and not so easy. But they basically fell in love with each other over the course of 10 years, but really never interacted. So that was the drawback of this book, but I thought it was cute, and so I gave it 3.5 stars. And lastly, we have The Sweet Spot by Adriana Locke, and this is a small town single mom romance. The hero is a former professional baseball player who's recently made the decision to retire. His family has moved to the small town, and he meets her, and I thought it was really cute. This book was like riding on a 4.5 star pretty much the whole way through, except when we get to the end, there was a conflict, and it had to do with the hero, and I don't really love the way that the conflict played out. I think that it brought the book down. It had to do with some secrets, and I just felt like it was so close to going another way, and he didn't. So I gave this book 3 stars. All right, so I got through all of the books that I have read up to today. I will be talking about quite a few of them. Again, let's see. I'll tell you which ones that I'll talk about again. I'll probably talk about the Nikki the Driver a little bit more. Flawless and Heartless, of course. Even if it hurts, because I really do want to point out why Untouchable worked for me and why Even If It Hurts just did not. Two Wrongs Make a Right, Chloe Leese. I do want to talk more about this because Chloe Leese does some things so well, but she doesn't do other things. Like I'm just like, the book could have been so great, and to me it just fell a little bit flat. And I want to talk more about like specific things that I loved and specific things that really threw me off. I'll probably mention Across the Moonlit Sea again because I just love this pirate romance. Like it was just so charming and I loved it. Yours Until Dawn, yeah, I'll probably talk about it again. Desire in His Blood, Zoe Draven. Yeah, I love Zoe Draven. She's probably my favorite sci-fi romance author. And Part of Your World. Most likely going to be talking about that one again because when I say I was so surprised, like it felt like it came out of left field. I was so sure that book was going to be a 3-star. I was so frustrated at one point. I was so frustrated. I was like, can't go higher than a 3. And then stuff happened toward the end and I was like, damn it. I was like, it's a 4-star now, which made me excited. So anyway, I had a wonderful talk about this book with Crystal. So thank you, Crystal, for listening to my bajillion messages. All right, guys, it feels really good to be caught up on all the new books that I have read so far. Very excited about this coming week. I do have finals this coming week, so I am studying, but Anastasia releases this week. Very excited to pick that one up. And there's a couple other books that I'm looking at. I don't really have a set TBR for December at all. I'm just kind of going with the flow, and that's how I want it to be. But if you have any book that you read this year that you think I need to read by the end of this year, please let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified at any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with little HEA. Bye, guys.